got a few little topics, and I'll show you how the Hawkeye processing toolkit works and a bit of detail about how people have used it and just some examples of what it can do. If anyone has any questions, just a quick tip about this webinar software. If you look on the right-hand side, there should be a little option which says questions near the bottom. So if you have any questions along the way, make sure you type them up in there, and I'll answer them when I see them, or I guess when it's when the topic comes up. And if anyone has any kind of problems or anything like that, you can probably send a message to the chat window, which is another one of those little options on the side there. Okay, so at the moment, I guess I've got all the attendees which responded to the invite. So I think I'll just start moving along with this presentation. Okay, so this presentation is based on I guess how to use the Hawkeye processing toolkit. So let's move on to the next frame. There we go. So these are going to be the topics I'll be talking about today. Basically, the idea about the Hawkeye processing, I guess the Hawkeye system itself, what is the Hawkeye system, and just going into more detail about what happens when we use the processing software that comes along with the Hawkeye systems. So the Hawkeye system itself, I guess we have. Excuse me. We have this product, Hawkeye 2000 and Hawkeye 1000 network survey vehicles. They're vehicles that we sell around the world and we use here in Australia. They collect laser profiling data, they collect video data, road geometry data, and also GPS data. With these systems, when we sell them overseas, they're available in different type of configurations. So we have some customers with just systems with lasers, or systems with only cameras. So they're kind of configurable and have different options and different kind of configurations. I guess when people collect this data, they will need to process it in a kind of a processing software that can be used by anybody. So essentially, I guess from this slide here, there's kind of the three basic steps when collecting information about the road networks. So firstly, you collect the data itself, so you just have the information you need. Then you, after you've collected that data, you can process that data to understand what's happening, and then at the end you can report what you've found with that data. So essentially, with the vehicles themselves, I haven't got a picture of it. If anyone's been into the Melbourne office or just working around here, would have seen some of our network survey vehicles. So I'm assuming everyone will know what these things look like. Those vehicles will be travelling around Australia, and I guess we have them around the world as well. So they'll be collecting data as they drive around on the roads, and when they've finished doing the surveys, you get essentially some raw survey data, so all the video, the laser, the GPS, the gypsy track, the geometry data. And so to be able to process that information, we have the Hawkeye processing toolkit, which is used to process the information and then allow you to export the information. Okay, so because this webinar is kind of short, I'm just going to pretty much jump into it quite quickly. So with the Hawkeye processing software, it actually allows you to look at everything at once. It also can help you. You can basically drive through the survey data that's being collected, and so you can go and jump throughout the survey to any location you like. Okay, so So I guess I'll jump over to the software itself. So just give me a second here. There we go. Okay, so when you start up the Hawkeye Processing Toolkit, this is basically what your display at the beginning. Here we'll actually have just 5 examples of surveys that's been collected recently. Sorry, not recently. There's some recently and some about a few years old. But you can kind of quickly see here, I guess you've got the survey names, the date when it was collected, and some information about it. Okay, so I'll just open this one here because this one's a good example. So basically, I'll just go through the quick navigation. So what you can quickly do with the Hawkeye Processing Toolkit software. This is kind of one of the most basic functions of it, which is just to be able to view the information and just to see what you've collected. So right now I have one of the camera views open. So you can see here it's just it's actually a video, a series of images of the roads that were surveyed. Okay, so that kind of scrolls along here. So you've got these kind of convenient scroll bars which you can go backwards and forwards throughout the survey. And you'll also notice on the bottom left-hand side here you have the survey position, which will tell you your chainage, your actual vehicle speed, section IDs or section descriptions if you enter those in when you're surveying, and also GPS locations. So firstly, for people like asset managers, if you've collected some of this data, you can always go to any position and you'll find out exactly where you are in that survey. The other thing you can do with the Processing Toolkit, with this system, it actually has 5 different cameras here. So at the moment I've got this center camera up on display, so I can actually show the driver side and also the passenger side camera. On this system it also has a pavement view camera, which is a camera that points down to the ground. Okay, so you can bring up all these views, you can look at all at once. So one good thing with this software is that you can have all these multiple views and scroll through them, and you'll notice that everything updates all at once. So you have everything synchronized, and you get this kind of good overview view of what's happening around you. Okay, so that's one of the basic functions there. Another thing to navigate through this survey as well, we do have other features, which is you can show a thing called reference point view here. So throughout this survey, we've actually put markers along at set distances. So here you have, say for example, 0 kilometers. This is actually our first point in the survey, first reference point. And so you can see here that when I click on these marks, our images actually jump to that location. Okay. So again, when you're doing a survey, you can actually put markers in, and with this software, it actually allows you to go to these positions really quickly and easily. And from there, you can even just scroll backwards and forwards if you want. So you're always free to shift wherever you want, and you'll see that all your images, I guess at the moment I've got 4 images open, they'll always be synchronized to show everything happening all at once. There is also the other feature that if you want to jump to a certain distance, there's a simple feature here which says go to change. So if you do actually want to go, for example, to the 5 kilometer point, you can just type in 5.0, and again, the survey location will jump to as close as it can to that position. So again, if you're looking for certain aspects of your road or just investigating something, you can jump to that location quite quickly and quite easily. Okay. The other kind of feature we have to actually navigate around is our GPS function. So with all that information, we have GPS data synchronized with the video and any other, I guess, all the other data. So at this point in time, one of the features with the processing toolkit is you can have, you'll see here we have the purple line, which is actually our survey route. It actually starts up here. Let me just zoom in on that. Oops, sorry, wrong way. Okay, so you can see here, this is actually our start position, and we actually did a loop around this section of road in Ferntree Gully, and so we just went here. This is actually our first reference point, and we drove all the way around and came back and stopped at that position there. Okay, and one thing you'll probably notice here is we've got Google Maps in the background. This is one of the features that we have in the processing toolkit, which makes it a lot easier to kind of look at where the survey is being recorded, because I can actually disable that, and so all you get is this. So just kind of very plain map. But with the Google Maps, it gives you a good reference to see where in the world is this survey. And it can give you a better idea about what's happened. I guess the road that you're on, and what locations these reference points have been entered in. Okay, and so with this GPS map, it also has the capability of allowing you to also move throughout the survey. So you can just do a single click on the map, and it will actually bring you to. It will actually move your survey location to that position in the map. So if I actually, I've clicked it onto a straight part of the road there, but let's put it onto a corner here, so at least you can kind of see something happening. So you can see here on this part, on that lower part of the map there, the survey path actually makes a left-hand turn, and in the video itself, you can actually see here it's actually going up this ridge and reaching this round, and it's about to make the left turn. So you'll notice as well. That as you scroll through the video, that little pointer is actually your survey location. That will move along as well. Okay. So with these surveys, firstly, yeah, just as a viewing tool, it can be quite useful to just look at I guess, what's on the side of the road, what's happening on your network, and just have a quick understanding of what's happening on the road. Okay, so that's just the basic navigation throughout that software. The next part, I guess, is going a bit more in depth. We have our processing side to this software. So it's not just a matter of being able to just look at the pictures and look at the GPS. With this sample survey I have, it has actually collected some laser profiler data. So the laser profiler that's mounted on the front of the vehicle actually can measure the road ARRB, so roughness. I believe this one here also had texture and also rutting as well. So I'll just quickly process that. So I go to profiling here, and roughness. So with the processing software, you can set up, I guess, what type of output interval you want your result to be shown in. So I guess the most standard number that we use is 100 meters or 0.1 kilometer. So that number is still there. And we also have a few, I guess I'll skip a few of these options. So you also have a few extra options here for road roughness. So you can have like things like lane ARRB, center lane ARRB. You have ride number. We have NASRA. So I guess here in Australia, some places still like to use NASRA. So we have that processing option, HATI, and also bump integrated conversion as well. But I'll just stick with the basics for now. But all you really need to do is just click on these boxes, and when you click on process, our software allows for that information to be reprocessed again and again. So I'll also do one for bump integrator, because I think I know some road authorities still like to see that older value, because that's what their historical data is based on. Okay, so you can see how I've actually processed this information twice, and every time you click on that process roughness button, it will add a new line into this list here, and so you can actually process the information many times or with many variables. So say, for example, you also wanted to process it every 10 meters instead of every 100 meters, or process at I don't know, 1 kilometer. You can change that and just reprocess again. All right. So after you've processed, you can show a table of views. So there it is there. So you've got the your chainage, your section, sub-chainage, your current speed in that section, left, right, right, average, and also here we've got the bump integrated number as well. And again, with this, you'll find that in this table view, you can actually click on these table items, and again, it will jump through the survey to that point. So if, for example, you do, I guess you're investigating this road and you say, okay, look, I found a spot here that's a little bit high, you can actually click to that location, and then you can look at the video itself and see if you can identify if there are any issues here. So that 4.5 IRI and the 3.0, I guess just scrolling back a bit just to see what's happening when you're leading up to that section. You can see here we have this this bridge, and you have all those joins, and you can see this kind of a patchy area here. So there's been some road repairs there. So so you can see here quickly, you can actually very quickly identify I guess defects in the road without having to drive out to the road, or I guess having to do some sort of post-analysis with this result just by looking at the pictures. So here's another spot here. Let's have a quick look here. So again, it's got a kind of a high number. So there's actually a little bit of a seal change there, and it looks like a bit of a wavy road in that image. So again, with the processing software and the video image, it can save you time from having to, I guess, after you've collected some IRI data, some laser profiler data, you come back and review this information without having to go out back to the location and then doing an investigation. All right, so I guess this table view is all nice and good, but I know some people like to see the graphs and charts. Processing Toolkit allows you to also display a graph view. So we have it here, and also with the graph view, there is also I guess a similar function. You can double click on these graphs, and it will bring you up to bring those videos up to the location of where the survey is. So again, this, you can see here this IRI graph. Let me just maximize it. So you can see here there's a kind of a small section around here where the IRI actually climbs up to about 5.5 there. And so I've double clicked on there, and you can see here this is the road section that's representing. And on the left hand side there's a bit of patching, and the road looks like it's been repaired in some way. Okay, so yeah, so you can see there's little spots of water and things. So you can definitely say that there's something wrong with that section of road. Okay. All right. So that's one feature. We also have the other one, which is macro texture. So this system here can measure SMTD. Our newer Hawkeye platforms, they actually can measure MPD and SMTD at the same time. So depending on what standard you follow, you can process in either type. So again, you have the same options here for what type of interval, SMTD. Also, we allow for a correlation between your sand patch tests versus sensor measured texture. So again, just a matter of processing. There we go. So you'll notice here that these options are quite similar to the roughness processing. So you'll find that there's kind of these 4 basic options which will be available on all of our processing screens. And again, you've got the view table, so you can view the data itself as a table, or view it as a graph as well. Okay, so in this graph, again, you can quickly jump across to any spots that look abnormally high. So let's quickly go up here. So my screen's getting a little full. So if I scroll back, again, look at the video transitions from low texture to high. So so at this moment here, this line shows that the texture itself is actually quite low. This graph actually shows SMTD and SPTD, so the sand patch correlation graph in there. I can actually disable those so it doesn't confuse too many people. So we go there. So at the moment, the lasers themselves are reading like a low texture, and if we scroll along, you'll see this blue line move forward. And as soon as we hit this turn, if you look through the video, you can see there's another surface change again. You go through this turn, and the surface has changed, and it's clearly showing in the texture information that that it's got increase in texture as well. So you can quickly see there where things have changed. I guess if you are analysing some road surface data and looking at where texture has changed, these are probably some things you can do. So again, if there's like this one here is a kind of a small spike, so it might not be visible in the video. So you are able to see kind of large changes in texture. Okay. All right, so that's the texture. The system itself can also give you like a longitudinal profile. So if anyone out there who needs to do any more investigation, you can take this laser information. So it's actually the elevation information about that road survey we've just collected. You can run it through your own software or other types of processing software. This can just output a CSV file, which is a comma-separated variable file. You can open this in Excel, and then from Excel you can change it and put your algorithms and things like that through this through Excel quite easily. Or if you've got some programs to help you, they can. CSV file is actually quite a very basic file format, and should be very easily read into other programs. And so if you need to develop some software or some other algorithms, it's I guess the output of our program can allow you to kind of do those things quite easily. Okay. So if anybody is got any questions at the moment, I'm happy to answer them. Just type it in on the questions panel on the right hand side, or the chat panel, I guess. That'll be easy as well. But if not, I'll keep on moving. Okay, so that's basically laser profile information. So the other thing that our Hawkeye systems can do is measure road geometry. So that's looking at things like horizontal curvature, the road's cross slope, the road's grade, and also vertical curvature. So this survey is good because there's a lot of twists and turns and a bit of uphill and downhill. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration of that. So let's jump into here. So it brings up the, I guess we call it INS GPS processing. So INS actually stands for Inertial Navigation System, which using accelerometers and gyroscopes to measure what angle and what direction we're traveling in. And we can also integrate that with some GPS information to kind of increase its accuracy. Okay, so with geometry, let me just do a quick processing. Alright, so just like all the other views, let me just close this advanced bit down. Just like all the other views, you have the basic setups, basic options here, and you have the processing list at the bottom. So I'll just quickly just show you the graph. It's probably more interesting. So basically, there's the process results. Unfortunately, the scale of the horizontal curvature is in degrees per kilometre, so it actually shows a very, very high number. So everything else looks like a flat line. So let me just turn that graph off just for now, and I'll turn off this vertical curvature as well. So these two graphs here show you the grade and the cross slope. So the grade is in red, and the cross slope is in blue. So the grade itself. So just like the rest of this survey, you can kind of scroll along, and you'll see here the blue line match where you're moving. So let's just zoom in on this graph by doing that. So you can see here where it's gone from a negative, a positive grade down to a negative grade. So I'll just quickly jump there. And so again, you can kind of see in the video itself, you're going up a hill. And let's keep long, and blue bar will follow up. And as soon as we start to go downhill, you'll see here the grades drop down as well. Okay. Right, so you can do that throughout the whole survey to kind of investigate or just look at any aspects of the survey itself, where you're going up or down a hill. So here we have the red line, which is the grade going up the hill. Okay. And let's have a quick look at cross slope as well. So cross slope, it's a lot harder to see because it's kind of smaller, and it's going to be the slope itself. Probably using angle carriers, so it looks like flat most of the time. Let's go to here. That might be a bit more obvious. So here, that's a fairly obvious negative cross slope. So you turn in, and going around this corner here, you'll notice in the graph it goes higher. Sorry, it goes to a positive value. And in the image itself, there's kind of this positive cross slope occurring through that image. Okay. And again, for anybody looking at, I guess if you're looking at cross slopes and safety numbers and things like that, you can see here the vehicle speed traveling at 47.9 kilometers an hour on the left here as they're surveying. We do have this information in the table as well, so you can kind of, again, if you need to do any analysis, you can do that with the data itself. Okay, so that's road geometry. One other thing too, I guess I'd like to mention is that, again, with all these views, so you're probably seeing that they seem like the operation is quite similar when you're doing processing different things. So if I show up the graph on the display here, I can also click on my map, and again, it should make that line appear anywhere on my map as well. So if again you are looking at certain sections of the road, say for example, you're interested in this corner here, you can just do a single click there, and you'll see that this blue line will match that position. And you've also got the video there, so you can see it's going around the right-hand bend. And again, yeah, so you can look at all the numbers and all the values all at once. Okay, so Now, I guess if I know that for some asset managers, one thing they're looking at is just the objects on the side of the road. So all this the geometry and road profiling things aren't really any interest in them, where they're looking at the conditions of barriers or conditions of signs, or looking at just the edge breaks on the side of the road. One thing that this processing software can also do is a thing called a video rating, where what you can actually do is throughout this whole survey, you can actually mark each of these video frames, each of these images, with a comment or with some information. We also have a function with these videos to actually make measurements. So you can see in the front center camera, we've got this camera calibrate. And so what you can actually do is make a measurement on the ground. So say, for example, you want to measure lane widths. So you can do something like that. So that'll give you a 3, so that's saying there it's got a 3.8 meter lane width. We can also measure things like heights as well. So this calibration plane is on the ground, so you can only measure heights on the ground. So you can do barrier heights, maybe a sign height. So again, you can do it of an audit through your network with some measurements and some information. And with all this information, as I said, we have this thing called frame ratings. You can actually fill in this little form here. So as you move along, you'll see here it says frame rating for 798, which actually is the frame number of this view here. So if, for example, I make a measurement of the ground at this frame, there we go. So it says here 3.5. I can enter that number here as well, 3.2, whatever. And what that does is that'll kind of attach that comment with that image. Okay, so it's kind of cleared it off because I've moved forward on one image, but if I go back one image, it has a comment there. Okay, so you can fill that in with any text you like, or have those measurements, or even I've had some people where they're just counting counting signs. Okay, so if you want more detail, like I guess about this thing, because this frame rating function is quite a large function in the software. There's a lot of tweaks and settings you can do with this. I won't go into too much detail here because it is more of an introduction into it. There is this function where we can also do HDM4 type ratings. So you can see here, this is one of the forms that you can fill in when you're looking at this video, which is you have road class, service class, traffic flow, speed flow. So you can create these large forms which you can fill in as much detail as you can. This one's specifically for HDM4, but you can customize that to whatever you want, and you can make measurements and kind of mark and count and kind of quantify what you have on the road network. All right, so it's all really great that you can actually view the data in here. You can kind of scroll through the video and the tables and the graphs. But a lot of times, after you have that information, you want to create your own reports and output all this information. The processing toolkit also does allow you to output all of the processing that you do through a function on the left here, which is under reports. So say, for example, the roughness information, you want to create your own report for that. So all you need to do here is do this export to CSV. So just as I said before, it's just kind of a very simple spreadsheet type file. So let me just, I'll just put it in here, that doesn't matter. So what that does is it'll actually output the same table information into a into this very simple spreadsheet format, and from here you can create your graphs, do any other further analysis, or maybe even cut and paste this and put this into a different processing type program. So, so the processing toolkit allows it to be is quite flexible, and hopefully it makes it easy for anybody to adapt any kind of databasing system they may already have, or any type of processing system they already have, and use the information they can collect from our Hawkeye systems. So we have the roughness. You'll have the same thing with the geometry. There it is there. Export CSV. So it's just a few button clicks on there. So that's going to take me to. Okay, so there it is there. So it'll have the chainage, the sub-chainage, grade, cross-line curvature, vertical curvature, all these other things here. You also have your GPS locations as well. So again, you always have your position of where that information is coming from. So it makes it easy to reference it back to your other information. Another feature we have as well, if you can notice here, we have the export to SHP function. So this is shapefiles, which can be used in programs like AutoCAD, or a commonly used one, which is ARRB packages. So that actually allows you to export the actual process information with the map. So we have two options here to create a polyline type shapefile or point shapefile. Unfortunately, I don't have any of these programs to kind of display the information, so I won't be able to show you it. But essentially, it allows you to create these shapefiles, a group of shapefiles which is compatible with those programs, and you can, again, if you're representing your information in a map, a road map, or any other type of report types that you can create in ArcGIS or AutoCAD. I guess we have that function here to export that information. Okay, and finally, I guess another basic function out of Hawkeye Processing Toolkit software is that in cases where you start to collect many roads and you need to process many kilometers of survey data, you don't necessarily have time to open up a survey, click on each of these options and process them. We have some customers which all they do is they do the survey, I guess without the video image, and all they want is just the roughness information. And they may have 50 surveys that their vehicle has gone and collected. And instead of having to open up every survey and process them one by one, we also have this batch operation function, which allows you to do the processing all in one go. So I guess I'll just quickly demo that. So batch operation process. Just going to move that across. So say for example, I'll just do this other survey here. So you select which survey. You can actually select all the surveys if you want. There we go, or select just the one or two. You can select what type of processing you want to do. Just add that to the list there. And so you can actually have multiple types of processing, macro texture, and roughing if you want, things like that. So you can see here on the left-hand side the selected types. There will be the three options here, and you'll also notice that there will be three options appearing on the top. And so all you need to do is go next and just set up the parameters on what you want the process to be like. So processing interval, whether you process some of this leading, lead out. Same with the macro texture and writing. Okay, and also if you want to export the CSV file straight away, so you can tell it, okay, export it with a certain file folder output. And when you've got all these settings done, you can go to the last tab here and click on process. So what that will do is that will open up open up each survey that you've selected and process them exactly the same. And at the end, you'll have I guess if you select the CSV option, you'll have those CSV files in the folder you selected. Or if you haven't done that, you'll find in your process views, you'll find that there'll be a new item in this list, and so you can open those and you can view that data. Okay, so hopefully that's given you, I guess, given you a good idea about what the Hawkeye processing tool you can do in, I guess, about 40 minutes I've been talking, almost 50 minutes now. And hopefully it gives you a good idea about, I guess, some of its capabilities and what you can do with the system. Also, I just want to give you a couple of examples of what some of our customers are doing with this information. We have customer Census or Census Australia, or Where Is Maps. They've actually got one of these, they've got two of these Hawkeye systems surveying basically all around Australia to update their road map. So they're actually using just the GPS information and also the video information to record where freeway exits are, certain petrol stations, landmarks, things like that. They'll actually look through the video and mark those. We also have Boral Asphalt, which is a repair and building company. They actually have a Hawkeye 1000 system, which is used to measure the road surface, and they're measuring IRI. So new roads that they build, they will take our systems on there and use the Hawkeye system to monitor that. And I guess typically we have our state road authorities, which will be which actually use our services and the Hawkeye 2000 systems that we run to monitor their road conditions. So I guess all around Australia, basically. And I guess internationally, we also have a few of these systems working with the ARRB project. So again, with the ARRB, its main focus is to look at the safety aspects of roads. So they have camera systems and the road geometry measurement. And we have, let's see, around Spain and South America have a few of these systems. And so there's kind of different ways of people using it, and depending on what you're interested in, there is a possibility that the Hawkeye system can measure those things for you, or at least you can get this video or GPS information. Okay, so I've got one. So I've got a couple of questions here from people. So thanks for bringing that in. So sorry for sending those in. So. Sorry if I've jumped ahead. Firstly, I've got Freddie who's actually asked me, can I go back to just after the lights example? Okay. So sorry, Freddie, you might have to repeat that question. I'm not exactly sure which part you want to go to, so I can quickly jump in my survey. Let's go to just after the lights. Sorry, let me just go to my reference point view. So we have here one just after the lights, which is our first reference point. Okay, so if I just zoom in here, just on the map, is that what you're after, Freddie? Okay. There we go. So we have our map here. I'll just quickly show the video as well. So the front center is probably the most useful one. Oops. Okay, so the map is after this section. so at the moment, this here is actually our position in the survey. All right, so okay, so the question that I guess for everybody to know, Freddie's question is, where is the 0 point for this road in the map and the video? So the 0 point itself is actually where this reference point is. So let me, okay, just going to move some things around here. So when I bring up the reference point view, oops, sorry, I'll minimize it somewhere. So just after lights here, what happens when we're doing a survey is that when you enter the first reference point, normally it will actually mark that as the 0 point. You'll find that in the map itself, if I just go here, you'll notice that there is a start point, and also there's another one here which is actually marked just after lights. The start point is actually where we actually start recording information. Or actually when we actually start to record, but typically, you know, at this point here, when you're starting, the vehicle is usually stationary, so it's not always a safe place to stop or start a survey. And so what we have is our first reference point, which we've marked as a 0 kilometre chainage, which is actually just underneath. If I move my position away, so it's actually at this point here, at that just after lights point. In our software, we do actually have a function to modify this number to increase it. So if, for example, this Glenfern Road, or sorry, Napoleon Road doesn't, like this 0 point, the 0 chainage may actually be at the lights themselves. I can actually shift that chainage so that it's so that reference point actually indicates what length that first little part of the road is. So you can actually do this thing called set chainage. And so say, for example, the 0 chainage for that road is actually that intersection, and our first reference point is actually, say, 200 metres in front. I can actually do 200. And what that does is it will actually shift all of my reference points and all my marks 200 metres forward. So I've just got to go back to my map here. So now that when I jump to my just after lights, in my survey, it actually says here that it's 200 metres, and you'll also find throughout with my where's my sensor camera? There it is. There. So if I click on my reference point view, that point there, it's still in the same physical position, but now it's actually reporting it as being 200 metres in, rather than being 0.00. I guess if, yes, typically, well, again, I guess just for everyone as well, Freddie's asked again, so is this raw data needed, does it need to be tidied up before you process? In some cases, yes. You can actually predefine these reference points throughout the survey, and you can actually set the survey up to say, okay, this point in the survey is the 200 metre mark, and it will start at the 200 metre mark. And it's up to the operators in the vehicle when they're driving along and entering these points in to have them at the right spot. But it is editable, so you can modify this slightly if they don't quite match where they're meant to be. Okay, so just quickly moving along to the next question by Andy. It says here, can you collect roadside asset information, signs using the software? So, well, basically, yeah, as I went through before with the video rating, because you're collecting video information as you drive along, we have that function which is the frame rating to mark out any roadside assets. So I guess here we've got like a bus stop or or light poles or barriers or things like that, you basically need to go through the survey manually and do the frame ratings to kind of mark out every sign, every asset that you want to mark, and things like that. And at the end of the video rating, again, you can actually export all those ratings out into a CSV file, just like what you do with the geometry and the profiling. And from there, you can create your averages and do some maths and any kind of statistics you need to apply. So I guess again, Freddie's asking. Oh, sorry, it's not a question. So Freddie's asking you a question. Typically, a user can a typical user create a form to collect the asset info? Yeah, the forms themselves. We have a function where you can. I guess I demonstrated some of the forms that were available. So there's some built-in forms that are come pre-installed when you install the processing toolkit. So say for example you have Vic Roads, they have this one here where all they do is just want to count how many cracks there are on the road. So you just kind of mark, or you can put a comment on a frame to say it's cracked or not cracked. But you also have, I guess, like things like, let's look at the Hong Kong rating form. So this one here is actually quite a large one. So they specify, I guess, surface type, defect types, so deterioration, defects, defective seal. But there is a function in the processing software that actually allows you to create these forms yourself. And so you can, things like if you are interested in just the roadside assets, so you're looking at the signages and road barriers and things like that, you can create a form that says sign type, sign location. I guess one of the common things also the sign condition. And when you kind of scroll through the video and do this frame rating, you can just kind of fill that in as you go along. So yeah, I guess if you're looking for the location, again, when these cameras are calibrated, I'll just quickly show you here. Like say for example, this 70-kilometer sign, we also have a function which is called georeferencing. So you can actually find locations of objects on the screen. So just by double-clicking on the screen with this georeference function turned on, so you can see we've got latitude, longitude, and also altitude of that object. The altitude itself is actually the altitude of the vehicle. So there is I guess, not super accurate, but it's pretty good. Yeah, so if you have any objects within that image, you can just double-click anywhere on the screen, and it can give you the latitude and longitude of that object. And you can copy that into your clipboard and paste that into any other programs. Or again, you can also add that to your frame ratings as well. We also have another function if you do this frame rating to get the location. You can also get the distance as well. Yes, it's actually part of as part of one of the reports you export. It will give you the chainage of that GPS location as well. Okay, so I guess just quickly zipping through a couple more questions here. So again, Freddie's asked, how to know how accurate distance measurement is. Now the measurements themselves, look, the referencing is dependent on the actual operator who's done the surveying. And so he may press the button a little early or a little late. We do have a sensor which these customers can use, which is like an infrared switch. So if you want very, very accurate referencing, you can actually put bollards on the side of the road, and when the vehicle goes past it, or the front of the vehicle goes past it, a reference point can be entered. But typically, when a normal operator enters reference points, they can be around, I guess, 5 to 10 meters off, and some adjustments may be needed within the processing software to kind of fix that up. I guess another question here, how does horizontal measurement get affected by curves? Now, one thing with our calibration is it is kind of a simple calibration which applies a kind of a simulated ground plane in the images themselves. So you'll find that, so we have this view here, which is a sensor camera, but we also have our left and right cameras. They also have a calibration plane in them as well, and you'll notice that they're rotated in the direction of travel, like that. But one thing is, they can't. These calibration planes can't tell if there's there's an embankment on the side there. So any measurements you do, it's making the assumption that it's actually the road surface parallel with the ground itself, or actually on the ground. So when doing measurements and things, you do need to take them with a bit of a grain of salt. If say, for example, you want to take a measurement of this sign here, but it's up on top of that embankment, the measurements you get may be a little inaccurate. And same thing as when you're going around a curve, just remember that yeah, if there's a bit of cross slope or things like that, that will adjust the numbers slightly as well. Okay, another question from Freddie. Thanks for all the questions, Freddie. There is a function in the processing toolkit to export these images. So I guess, for example, yeah, if you do identify that there's an asset that you want to kind of show an image of, okay, let's scroll forward. There's actually a couple of ways to do it. So say, for example, okay, you're interested in this sign. You can just right-click on one of the video views and export this video frame, just as the picture itself, or with some details. So I'll just do this one with details, and I'll just plonk it into this folder. Okay. So that will just save that as a JPEG image, a single JPEG image. Let me just quickly jump to that folder. Where am I? D drive there. So I'll just put it into this folder here. It's not there. There it is. So this is the file that's been exported. Okay, so you can see here this is actually the image, and you also get this little footer in it which shows which survey, the frame number, the chainage, the vehicle GPS location, road name, what section it was, and things like that. So you can export it. We also do have a kind of like a batch export function which can allow you to export every single frame if you want, or also a function which will just export the images where you've marked or where you've entered a rating. So so again, yeah, we do actually have a lot of customers where they do want to have basically the evidence to say, oh look, this road has got a high ARRB because of some reason, and you can show an image as well, and it's quite clear evidence when something is happening on that road surface, rather than just kind of giving somebody a chart or a table of numbers. It's kind of, it doesn't, there's no kind of evidence to prove that why this number is high or low or things like that. So the video images are actually quite useful. Okay, so let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, I guess a question from Andrew as well. I guess we're kind of going a little bit over time here, so maybe this might be the last question. Can you export to shapefile the row center line specifically saved as map info file? Now, we do have a function here which can actually export the center line data. So I know that the GPS that's being collected, it is on the roof of the car, and so that's the position that you're collecting it from. But on some reporting types you want to do center line, so it's actually the center of the road. We have this function here in the GPS map which is called the center line, and so what you need to do is work out the offset. So because the GPS is mounted on the center of the roof of the vehicle, you need to work out if you, I guess, how far off it is from the center. So say for example, it's maybe 3 meters off. So what we can do is click on that. So what that does is that'll actually create a second GPS line there. So you can see here there's a red line which is an offset GPS, and with that you can actually if you just want the shape file, you can actually just go from here, export the GPS route. Oh, actually, no, you want to get the centerline SHP file. So from there you get the shape file, and you can use that in ArcGIS. I'm not 100% sure if Map Info can view shape files. I think it does. But so if it does, that's the function there. So it'll already offset everything for you automatically. But one thing is it is giving you a fixed offset. So another little thing just to be, I guess, aware of is you do have to deal with reality where the driver themselves may have, may not drive perfectly, but so you're going to be plus or minus a few meters here and there. All right. So look, I guess it's 1:40 at the moment. Unfortunately, I can't answer all the questions. I've kind of run out of time. If anybody has any more questions, you can always send them to me. It's I think my email address may be in the invitation, so it's, or maybe I can actually type it out here as well. So it's viet.fan.arrb.com.au. And so I guess, yeah, Freddie, you seem quite interested. So there's a lot of questions from you. So thanks for that. And I'm always happy to help. If there's any kind of thing that looks like it may be done in the Hawkeye processing software, please come and ask me, and I can say yes or no if you can do it or not. I guess I just want to thank everyone for their time today. I guess, as I said, I just went over by a little bit. So so I hope that gives you kind of some understanding of the Hawkeye processing toolkit, and maybe we can, I guess, get in contact, and we can, I guess, have this software used a bit further around at ARRB. All right. So again, just thanks everyone, and I guess, yeah, we'll keep in contact.